Imagine waking up tomorrow and remembering everything. Not just the moments you chose to hold on to, not just the ones that marked you. Everything. The exact words someone said to you on a Tuesday afternoon in March, 11 years ago. The way the light looked on a morning so ordinary you never thought to remember it. The embarrassment you felt at 14, standing in the wrong hallway, wearing the wrong thing, saying the wrong name. You remember all of it, not as a blur, not as a feeling, with perfect, unfiltered, unavoidable clarity. Every single day of your life, available on demand, in full detail, whether you want it or not. Now ask yourself, honestly, would that be a gift? Or would it be something else entirely? Her name is Jill Price, and for most of her life, she believed everyone experienced memory the way she did. She was sitting in a car with her mother on June 14th, 1983, a Wednesday. The radio was playing something she didn't like. The air smelled like rain. She knows this not because it was important. She knows it because she knows every day. At 34, she finally wrote a letter to a neuroscientist at the University of California, Irvine. She described her memory as a continuous, involuntary film reel, always running, always playing, not on command, without pause. The scientists asked her to write down what she remembered, day by day, year by year. Then they checked her recollections against historical records, diaries, news archives. The accuracy was extraordinary. They had never encountered anything like it. They named her condition Hyperthymesia, from the Greek, meaning excessive remembering. She became the first officially documented case in modern neuroscience. When journalists heard about her, the reaction was almost universal. How wonderful, they said. What a gift, they said. Jill Price had a different word for it. She called it a burden. Most people have the luxury of letting things go, she said. I don't have that luxury. And here is where the science begins to change how you see yourself. Most of us carry an assumption about memory so deep we've never thought to question it. We imagine the brain works like a camera, running quietly in the background, capturing everything, storing it faithfully, somewhere inside the skull. When we remember something, we believe we are simply pressing play. But neuroscience has known for decades that this is not what memory is, not even close. Here is what actually happens inside your brain right now as you listen. An experience arrives. Your senses collect fragments. What you see, what you hear, what you feel. Now imagine those fragments being handed to a vast, invisible librarian deep inside your brain. That librarian is your hippocampus, and its job is not to file your memories in one place. Its job is to scatter them. The visual elements go to one region, the emotional tone goes to another, the sound, the smell, the sensation of temperature, the weight of the moment, each stored separately, distributed across a web of networks so wide it spans almost the entire brain. What you call a memory is not a file, it is a recipe, a set of instructions for reassembling fragments that live in completely different locations. And this is where everything changes. Because when you try to remember something, your brain does not retrieve the original. It reconstructs it from pieces every single time. Think about what that means for Jill. She isn't playing back recordings. She is rebuilding every day of her life in real time, over and over again. The fight from 1987, the humiliation from 1994, the grief that arrived on an ordinary Monday and never fully left. Each one reconstructed, each one as emotionally present as the moment it first occurred, while your brain quietly lets painful memories soften, fade, lose their sharpest edges. Hers never do. And scientists began to wonder, what if forgetting, the thing most people experience as loss, is actually the brain's most sophisticated act of care? Your brain doesn't remember the past, it rebuilds it. Every time you remember something, the brain doesn't retrieve a stable, stored version. It pulls fragments from different locations, assembles them on the spot, and then, here is the part almost no one knows, it stores the memory again, but not as it was, as it is now, adjusted for who you are today, shaped by what you know, colored by what you feel in this moment. Neuroscientists call this memory reconsolidation, and it means the memory you retrieved yesterday is slightly different from the one you will retrieve tomorrow. The story of your childhood you have told 100 times is not a window into the past. It is a portrait you have painted 100 times, each time with slightly different light. This might feel unsettling, but stay with it. Because what it reveals about you is more extraordinary than you might expect. Return to Jill for a moment. Her brain was exceptional at one thing. It was extraordinarily accurate at reconstructing memories exactly as they first occurred. The emotional weight, perfectly preserved. The detail, perfectly intact. But what her brain struggled to do was something yours does without effort. It couldn't update. It couldn't release. It couldn't soften a memory of something painful by passing time over it, by allowing context to change its meaning. Every memory stayed at the same emotional volume it had on the day it was made. And what the researchers slowly came to understand was this. The very thing that makes her condition so astonishing, that inability to let things fade, is the exact opposite of what the brain evolved to do. Your brain does not remember the past to preserve it. It remembers the past to navigate the future. And to navigate the future, it needs to be able to update, to revise, to release what no longer serves you. Forgetting is not a failure of your memory. Forgetting is the brain's way of saying, you don't need to carry this at full weight anymore. Set it down. So what does this mean for you? Because this is where neuroscience stops being theory and starts being something you can actually use. The first thing to understand is that attention is the gate. Memory does not begin in the hippocampus. It begins in what you choose to notice. Picture your brain as a sculptor constantly deciding which fragments are worth keeping in stone and which should return to dust. Emotionally significant moments get carved deepest. This is why you remember exactly where you were when something shocking happened, but cannot recall what you ate for lunch 9 days ago. Emotion is not separate from memory. Emotion is one of the primary tools the brain uses to decide what matters. Which means practically, when you want to remember something, truly remember it, you need to make it feel like it matters. Connect it to something that already does. Make it vivid. Make it surprising. Give your brain a reason to carve it in stone instead of letting it return to dust. The second principle is one of the most replicated findings in all of learning science. Testing yourself is more powerful than reviewing information, not because it's harder, but because every time you successfully reconstruct a memory, every time you reach for it, find it and pull it back, you make that reconstruction easier to perform the next time. You're not just remembering, you're strengthening the exact neural pathway the memory lives along. The third principle is one most people underestimate entirely: sleep. During deep sleep, the hippocampus replays the experiences of your day and transfers them into long-term storage across the cortex. This is not a metaphor. This is a biological process, measurable, documented, essential. A night of disrupted sleep doesn't just make you tired, it interrupts the moment when the brain files everything that mattered. The most important consolidation work your mind does happens while you are completely unconscious. And the fourth principle is spacing. A memory rehearsed once, then revisited after a day, then after a week, becomes exponentially more durable than the same memory rehearsed 4 times in a single afternoon. The brain interprets repetition across time as evidence of importance. If you keep returning to something, the brain concludes it must matter, and it holds it accordingly. Now, consider this. Most people go through their entire lives thinking of memory as something that happens to them, a capacity they were given, strong or weak, good or bad, fixed. But memory is not a fixed capacity. It is a living system, constantly updating, constantly reconstructing, responsive to attention, to emotion, to sleep, to practice, to the deliberate choices you make about what to return to and what to finally allow to fade. You are not a passive audience watching footage your brain collected. You are the editor. You always were. Return one last time to the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, 2 hands, reaching toward each other, almost touching. In the gap between those fingertips, something is always in the process of crossing. Michelangelo painted it as transmission, a spark passing from one mind to another, but memory is its own version of that gap. A moment on one side, meaning on the other, and in between, the reaching, the rebuilding, the rewriting that your brain performs every single time you try to look back. Jill Price did not have a perfect mind. She had a mind that could not release. And what her rare, extraordinary condition revealed to science is something quietly remarkable about your own. The softening of painful memories is not weakness. The fading of what once felt unbearable is not loss. It is the brain in its deepest wisdom making room. Room for new experience, room for different meaning, room for the person you have not yet become. You are not the sum of every moment you have lived. You are the sum of every moment your brain decided was still worth carrying. And the ones it gently released along the way, those were not taken from you. They were quietly returned to the past, where they belong, so that you could keep moving forward. Every memory changes twice, once when you live it, and again every time you remember it. Every neuron remembers. Every thought changes you. Every choice rewrites you. The gap is still there. The spark is still crossing. So become